What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So let's go ahead and get started with the best wizard guide for season 27 for Tal Rasha. This is a brand new updated set and they've actually made it quite more powerful. There's actually two different variants if you guys want to mix and swap some of these things. We'll talk about that in a second, but let's go over how this build works and kind of how it plays. So starting right off, you have a few different options in terms of your skills, but the main thing is we're going to be getting these massive meteors that are going to deal an insane amount of damage with a brand new buffed Mempo of Twilight for season 27. It makes it so Meteor Shower now has it cast on the meteors, so you're going to get Meteor Shower regardless of which rune you select is going to be applied to all of them, and it deals 400% increased damage. That's awesome. In fact, Mempo of Twilight is an OG Diablo item that used to actually see a lot of play in, I'm talking back in the day in Inferno, because it had attack speed. So it's kind of cool that it actually has attack speed as a stat on a helm. Now, in addition to that, the other thing that got changed is basically the Tal Rasha set. So what are these new changes with the Tal Rasha set? Well, it makes it so when you deal damage to enemies, you're going to be getting those meteors. It's just going to be a huge damage multiplier at the end of the day, but it activates off of other things that make it so you don't really need to reactivate other skills. So the build is very, very smooth. I won't need to be casting other things because with our familiar, with our teleport, it's going to do all of the activations through that versus needing to actually cast these. So how does this build actually play? Like I said, there is some variations in terms of how you want to play the build. So the main difference in terms of skill is kind of up to you. If you're looking for either more survivability or extra resource, you can run a diamond skin with prism, or you can choose any other runes that you want to select. You can even run the one that gives you additional movement speed, as the build is a little bit slower in terms of its mobility, with the exception of teleport being our mobility skill. Or if you want to go for more damage, you can go with Black Hole Absolute Zero. It's going to increase the cold damage that you're going to be dealing, because most of you guys will probably want to choose Meteor with Comet. That's going to be the iced one. There is a Star Pack build. It's a little bit more difficult, but they are both considered the best builds for Wizard here in terms of the Tal Meteor build. So kind of choose the one that you want, but remember, if you do happen to select the cold over here, you're going to need some form of maybe a arcane spender. So there is a little bit of play with teleport as well. You can either choose the safe passage, which is going to give you damage reduction, or calamity, that's going to give you the ability to stun the enemies and actually deal that arcane damage, because you need to have 4 elements for your Tal Rashas, of course. So keep in mind, you can mix and match any one of these to your liking. But in terms of how it plays, they play very similar. You just go up to things and you throw Meteor, and it's going to actually drag the enemies to the Meteor, which is really cool because of the bonus that you're going to be getting on the Smoldering Core. It makes it so lesser enemies are lured to the impact of the Meteor, and it's going to actually deal increased damage. Now, on consecutive hits to the same target, and it can stack up to 10 times, being 50%. Yeah, that's a pretty big multiplier over there with the Smoldering Core. So that's kind of how it plays. In terms of the skills, all you do is you just activate your diamond skin, keep it up pretty much all the time. You don't really need cooldown reduction in this build at all, which is great. You're just going to activate familiar one time and then you're good to go. Teleport when you need to. You do need to activate this immediately at the start to activate the effect of Tal Rasha. And then just Storm Armor, Power of the Storm, so reduction, as well as giving us bonus with the Halo of Karini ring, making us take less damage with the secondary, where we take up to 80% less damage. Great thing indeed. And then we've got Magic Weapon Conduit, so it's going to restore some arcane power. If you want to, you could select the other rune that you want to on this. It's kind of up to you. Remember, you have to have something that does do arcane, regardless of the one that you choose. Just select something so you can have all of the Tal Rasha elements fulfilled. So again, Star Pact or Comet is kind of the go-to. Now, in terms of the passives, you do have a few different options. Blur, Galvanizing Ward are great. Astral Presence for extra resource generation and elemental exposure. If you want to, you could also think about running Power Hungry. This is going to give you additional damage to enemies farther than 30 yards. I've seen people try Audacity as well. It's kind of up to you if you just want to get closer or further away from your enemies. Choose which one you want. So for the cube, we've got the Grand Vizier. This is going to give us extra resource reduction on the Meteor, as well as extra damage. We've got Mempo of Twilight, already talked about that, extra damage from Meteor Shower, and that's how we're getting all of these meteors to come down. And then we got Road Ring of Grandeur. It's pretty much in most of the builds. Now, if you do want to, you can equip the Grand Vizier, and you can actually put the Smoldering Core. Doesn't really matter. Whatever one rolls the best. Now, with Season 27, we have the brand new Angelic Sanctified powers. Honestly, it doesn't really matter which one that you have for the most part. part, there's people that are on the leaderboards with basically a non-used one, as in the effect does not matter. However, arguably the storm armor is the best, and certain times you're going to be able to do a few % damage to like the Rift Guardian and just one-shots an enemy. It's okay. The build hits enough damage for it to not really matter too much on the small stuff, but specifically on Elite and most likely the Rift Guardian, it will give you some sort of DPS boost. So if you want to select Storm Armor, giving the charges, but it's not really that required, so don't stress it too much. The important thing that you want to try to get, if you can get, is area damage. You don't need cooldown reduction on this build, which is actually pretty good. Another thing that I could suggest, if you can get attack speed, it's not that bad on this build. The reason why is because remember, you're going to be stacking that amount of damage on the enemies with the Smoldering Core with its bonus ability, that stacks up to 10 times. So you can ramp it up a little faster if you want to. We're putting a emerald in here in terms of the weapon, then the rest are all just topazes. If you want to, you can throw in rubies for more armor, or it doesn't really matter, you can throw in more emeralds for more armor. It's kind of up to you on that. For the boots, we want the Niffer's boots over here. This is going to increase the damage of Meteor by 600%, and when it hits 3 or less enemies, it's going to deal even more damage. So more Meteor damage over there. No offhand because we're running a two-handed staff. Then we're running the Tal Rasha pants. No important stats over here, but there is important stats that you do want to get on the boots as well as on the helmet. That's going to be increased Meteor damage. Those are the two important ones to get. As far as the other ring goes, crit hit chance, crit hit damage, as well as area damage. Those are going to be the priority stats. Then since we are going to be mainly dealing cold damage, unless we're playing with the other build, which is Arcane, you can run the Arcane one if you want to with Star Pact, but that would be Arcane. That's all you got to really change here. For the belt, Tal Rasha's belt, no new change with that. Nothing special with this. Now, with the Tal Rasha's armor, it does come default with attack speed, so that's another bonus. Try not to roll that off. That's a nice extra set of DPS boost, so keep that. For our gloves, again, crit chance, crit hit damage, area damage, if we can get it, no longer needing cooldown reduction. Again, area damage is kind of important. You can get life or bonus armor. That'd be the only difference here on the shoulders that might be kind of a free extra slot. You could also get resource cost reduction. I've seen a few people go for that. And you definitely want to have in your helmet a topaz that's going to have the ability to reduce the cost of all resources by 12%. Great stuff indeed. Extra, crit chance. That's kind of normal in the helmet. It's just, and then remember, you want that meteor damage in the helm as well. As far as the amulet goes, we got Squirt's necklace, great, pretty much in every single Diablo build as well. And then, of course, we got Yugioh. So it's the 6 pieces of Tal Rasha with the Royal Ring of Grandeur. Then we got Yugioh here. So Yugioh is going to give us extra damage and extra damage reduction. Just get the crit hit chance over there. You can get vitality or life on hit, whatever one that you prefer. Now, in terms of the legendary gems over here, we've got some options. So if you're really looking to push the highest, you definitely want to have Bane of the Stricken. That's in every single push build. But Zaystone of Vengeance as well as Bane of the Trap, those ones are going to be ideal. Keep in mind, if you're running Zaystones, you want to stay further away, so that's going to make it so the Power Hungry passive will be better than Audacity, but I've seen people use both in builds, so I'm just mentioning it. And then the other optional legendary gem here is actually Invigorating Gemstone. Now, it's not going to be the highest push option, but it does make you immune to control and parrying offense. And since we don't really have a way to do that, if you're just looking to do some speeds like 80s, like in this gameplay, I believe there are 85s, where we're just destroying content. But as you climb higher, CC does become kind of a problem if you need to position yourself. And this actually does help out. Keep in mind, the Rift Guardian may be a little bit more difficult if you don't happen to have the Bane of the Stricken in. But that pretty much wraps it up in terms of the build and the other variants that you guys can indeed play. So it's up to you on really Diamond Skin or the Black Hole. If you want to play Star Pact, that one is a little bit different as well. But for the most part, they are relatively the same. Most people at the moment are actually playing right now with the Cold Rune, but there are builds that are pushed up very high on the GR leaderboards. As of right now, there are people that have cleared 150 in groups with this build as well. But anyways, that's it for the build guide. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it, and I'll link down below the max roll so you guys can have the entire stat sheets if you do want that. But if you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it on your way out. And if you're new here and do want to see more Diablo videos, subscribe to the bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.